Good evening, and welcome to the Miracle of Prosperity here on the New Thought Media Network. I'm your host, Reverend Jim Webb, author of the book, The Soul of Prosperity, as well as several ebooks, including Prosperity from A to Z, Create Your Self-Manifesting Vision Board, and 30 P's for Prosperity. And I'm excited to announce that on September 1st, I will be the author of another ebook entitled Forgive Your Way to Prosperity. So we focus on prosperity here on this show. On this show, we look at all the ways that we can cultivate a consciousness of prosperity and all the ways we can remove any blockages to prosperity, because prosperity is all around us and prosperity is God's idea for us. And our task is to cultivate the consciousness and remove the blockages so that prosperity has no choice but to show up within us and outside of us. And I always like to clarify that prosperity is more than just money and stuff. I like to clarify that prosperity is simply God's loving, creative, healing power flowing to us and through us, and all the forms God's love can take. God's love can take the form of professional prosperity, where, in the words of Florence Scovel Shinn, we have a wonderful job with wonderful pay. We provide a wonderful service in a wonderful way. Prosperity can show up in the form of relationship prosperity, where our relationships are harmonious and an outward reflection of the harmony that we feel within. Prosperity can take the form of logistical prosperity, where our lives simply work with minimal struggle, suffering, or lack. And of course, there is spiritual prosperity, where we experience the peace that passes all understanding, and material prosperity and economic prosperity, where we have more than enough, enough to share and enough to spare, as well as enough to meet our needs and bring us joy. So that's what we do every Sunday at 8. And we're so glad you're here. Just give us a shout out in the chat box and let us know that you are here. And we will be able to greet you. And one of my devices has a mind of its own. It's very prosperous. It spoke of its own volition. So let us know you're watching and we can greet you. Now, what I want to talk about tonight is holding your holiness for prosperity. Holding your holiness for prosperity. And I'm going to specifically reference several lessons in A Course in Miracles, since this show is about using the Course in Miracles to manifest prosperity. I'm going to reference lesson 35. My mind is a part of God's. I am very holy. And the essence of that lesson is that there is a part of you that is and always has been holy. It will always be holy, no matter what you're going through or experiencing in any moment. And this holy part of you, synonymous with the part of you that is God, knows of its innocence, its perfection, its deservingness, and knows that it has the keys to the kingdom of heaven and can draw any aspect of heaven desired to it. And then lesson 36 says, my holiness envelops everything I see. And it intimates that as we cultivate this inner consciousness of holiness, That holiness, that joy, that light, that peace, that grace, all those things that prosperity can be, that holiness envelops everything, and everything becomes a tool through which prosperity is offered to us. And then my holiness blesses the world, where our holiness, our wholeness, our oneness, our lightness enlightens the world, and the world falls in line. And then finally, lesson 38, there is nothing my holiness cannot do. My holiness can create all of the miracles in my mind, in my body, in my affairs, and in my life. So our task is to hold our holiness. Just like Abraham Hicks said, if you want to manifest a vision, you have to hold that vision. And the longer you can hold that vision, the more you magnify your ability to manifest that vision. Well, before you hold a vision, I posit, and the guides that work through me posit, that you have to hold that state of holiness, which there is nothing your holiness cannot do, for it transcends the laws of time and space. So we're going to talk about that tonight. Holding your holiness for prosperity. And I have a very holy guest who's going to be with us tonight. One of our favorites and one of my favorite humans on the planet, our beloved Reverend Daniel Newsom. Hello, Reverend Daniel. Welcome back.
Well, thank you, Reverend Dr. Webb. It's a pleasure and a joy to be back.
It's been a joy. It's a joy to have you back. It's been a minute. We've missed you. So
I
we're
have
glad you're
missed
here.
you too. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes. And we are glad you are on the other side of your journey and back here
Yes.
with us. Yes. So we're going to talk about holding your holiness for prosperity. And so let's first understand holiness a little bit more. And I have an idea, and I would like you to comment on this, okay?
Sure.
One of the things that Spirit says through my channel is that holiness is synonymous with your innocence, your perfection, your forgiveness of self, and your godliness and your wholeness. Now, what would you say around that?
What a wonderful topic. Spirit as it comes through my channel as I'm working with a group or with an individual, they will always take the person through transformational prayers. And they begin by having the person say, I am the holy, beloved, innocent, infinitely deserving son or daughter of God. And therefore, I deserve to be always in the consciousness of heaven and having the experience of heaven on earth. And as we know in A Course in Miracles, Jesus is telling us that the holy, beloved, innocent Son of God is not just him, but it is all of us. We are all the Christ. And it is such a path and a process and a journey to think about yourself um, in that way, with that framework. I mean, I certainly have not mastered that, but to think about yourself like that every moment, with every breath you take, that is a spiritual practice. But I think it helps if you happen to be um, someone who has a personal relationship with God or a personal relationship with Brother Jesus. When you think about Jesus, you move into a state of reverence. Or when you think about God, you move into a state of reverence. Well, the key is when you think about yourself to move
Mm,
into that state of reverence. And I just have one more thing to say about this because I will never forget this. And this comes from Marianne Williamson. And this happened years ago. I went to one of her lectures, and at that time, her daughter was a baby. And she said, you know, as a mother, when you hold your child, the love that you feel is just out of this world. It's indescribable. She says, I know that I will have reached a great stage in enlightenment when I can feel that love for myself. Isn't that
Mm,
powerful?
that is powerful. So, one of the things that we can do to hold our holiness, if I hear you correctly, is to develop the consciousness, the Christ consciousness within us, and hold ourselves in the same reverence as we hold God, the masters, or a child that we love with complete and unconditional love.
Yes.
So, would you say then also that holding our inner child in that reverence, in that esteem, in that view of its wholeness, and in the state, the inner state of forgiveness, would be a key to holding your holiness?
What a wonderful key. And I feel like this is just opening a door for all of us because if you could go into the mind of most human beings, that the self-talk is so negative that for us to think about ourselves as holy and to think about our inner child
Mm,
as holy and to think about the people that we encounter in our lives, every single person on the street or that we have relationships with, that they are all holy. What a spiritual practice that is.
yes. And so we can create a little game for ourselves. We can create a little game called Holding the World Holy.
Yes.
And the way we can create this game is to say, okay, I'm going to make this day a holiday, a holy day. And I'm going to begin by holding myself holy. I am the holy, beloved, innocent, perfect child of God, fully deserving of every blessing and benefit of God's grace. And then when we go out, we can hold everything and every person holy, meaning my ego sees this thing that I would judge, criticize, demean, or believe is apart from me, but the light within me sees the light within it, a namaste moment, if you will.
Yes.
And the light within me that holds myself holy sees the holiness in this situation or this person as well. And I guess that's what they mean in A Course in Miracles, lesson 37, when they say, My holiness blesses the world.
That's exact. I'm sitting here chuckling because I feel so far away from actually living every moment in that kind of mindset. It's like, man, I've got some work to do.
Yes, we all do, but let's call it play. And
I've
let's
got
play
some
with
play
it.
to do. Yes.
You got some playing to do. Like Lena Horne said, I got 2 hours worth of singing out here I've got to do. I've
Yeah.
got 2 hours of playing out here I've got to do, playing with my holiness.
Because it's one thing, when you are in meditation and when you're in prayer, or if I'm serving, a client or a congregation. But when I'm just by myself living my normal life, to think that I am holy, to have that kind of thought and feeling about myself, that is a practice. That's a spiritual practice. My guides
Amen.
always say that we're here on the earth to practice spiritual mastery. You don't have to be perfect already. It's a practice. And this is a great
Yes,
practice.
yes. So, one of the keys to holding your holiness, we've just discovered, is to practice your holiness and to treat it as a game. Now, this is fascinating because I know the human mind tends to beat itself up with guilt when it fails to reach its false goal of perfection. We have these false ideas of what perfection is. And when we don't meet that false idea that is just an illusion anyway, we beat ourselves up, we withhold from ourselves, we judge ourselves, we criticize ourselves, and that takes us down a rabbit hole where we cause ourselves all kinds of, let's call it, unprosperity. So, one of the things you said can let us off the hook, Reverend Daniel, if I heard you correctly. You said that it's a practice. We come here to practice it. We are not always going to be masters. We're going to practice that mastery. So we can let ourselves off the hook and we can treat it as a game. Is that accurate?
That is so very accurate. And it's also a lot of fun to practice.
Yes.
It's a lot of fun. You know, it's very interesting. You made reference to my journey. I wasn't going to talk about this, but I was hospitalized for 3 weeks. I was very ill, and I used that experience to go into the part of myself that wanted to hurt me and to accept the miracle of the transformation of that part of myself. So I've emerged really as a changed man. But what I notice is that when I walk down the street, people greet me. You know, they talk to me like I must be emanating holiness, though I wasn't aware of it.
Yes.
And it blesses the world, and it's really
Yeah.
fun to observe that. Yeah.
Yes. My holiness blesses the world. And let's move to there's nothing my holiness cannot do, because this energy is the energy of creation. The energy of creation, synonymous with the energy of love, creates, allows, attracts. And when we understand that the energy of our holiness is simply the energy that allows our prosperity to be drawn to us, we realize that holding our holiness is a key to prosperity. What do you think of that, Reverend Neusom?
It is absolutely truth, and it's the fulfillment of the law of cause and effect. The cause is always our consciousness and energy. So in the consciousness of holiness, you know, feel, and believe that your home is heaven. So you can't help but attract heavenly experiences, abundant, prosperous experiences. So there you have it. It's the law of cause and effect. Yes.
There you have it. So we're going to go on break in a moment, and we're going to field your questions on this. So while we're on break, be sure to put your questions in the chat box, and we will field your questions. And we're going to come back after break, and we're going to look at some of the other ways we can cultivate the consciousness of our holiness here on The Miracle of Prosperity on the New Thought Media Network.
Please help us say thank you to our organizational sponsors, including the Hefferland Foundation, Affiliated New Thought Network, International New Thought Alliance, Science of Mind Archives and Library Foundation, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, Center for Spiritual Living Midtown, New Thought Philadelphia, Planned Happiness Institute, Summit Center for Spiritual Living, One Heart Retreats, Center for Spiritual Living on the Lake, Unity Kitchener, Unity Spiritual Center Ottawa, Om Center for Spiritual Living, Satya Center, Begin Within Ministries, Center for Spiritual Living North Jersey, Unity of Savannah, and the Center for Spiritual Living, Seattle, as well as all of our individual donors. Thank you for being part of the New Thought Media Network. Please like, share, and subscribe. New Thought Media Network, positively inspiring.
And we're back here on the New Thought Media Network with the Miracle of Prosperity and Reverend Daniel Neusom. In case you're just joining us, we are speaking tonight on holding your holiness, that inner state of being where we know of our oneness with God, where we know of our innocence and our perfection just as we are, and where we know of our divine magnetic essence that can attract and allow all the good God wills for us. And this inner state, synonymous with forgiveness, is one of the keys to prosperity, because as we can hold this inner state, we can allow more of our good. So we have a question from Deb Thomas at 8:15 that we'd like to discuss. And I don't have my glasses, but it says, it's becoming harder to separate the divine self, it seems, with healing and the intense light that we are now living as our divine selves. Can you comment, Reverend Neusom?
Well, my comment is hallelujah. That's the goal of everything, to live as your divine self. That's what's going to bring peace on earth. The more of us who live as our divine selves, the more we bring heaven to earth. So, Deb Thomas, if that is what you are experiencing, God bless you. Namaste.
Mazel tov.
Mazel
Amen.
tov.
And it's a function of the veil being lifted. And the veil being lifted is a function of our individual and collective work.
No,
Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
Okay, yeah, I do want to say that I think for people like Deb and you and me and people in our spiritual communities, it is a wonderful, wonderful time, because this great light is coming to the planet. However, if you do not know how to process your own negative patterning, the consciousness, energy, and patterning within you that you came here to transform, it can just create a very, very miserable time for you right now, because the light is coming to purify us. So for those of us who know how to work with our stuff, it's great. We're stepping into our Christhood, and that's a wonderful thing. And our task is, as just as people of God, to be available for our siblings when they are ready to learn how to work with their stuff. We've been trained, we know the path, and we can share it with those who are open to receive it.
Absolutely. And our light can be a comforting, soothing beacon for those who seek the light, because the light that is on the earth has dredged up their darkness to be healed.
Yeah.
So, as A Course in Miracles says, I am not alone in the effects of my healing. When I am healed, I am not healed alone. So, your healing is a beacon of light to others who came here that their souls might also heal. Hallelujah to that.
Hallelujah. Can you feel this amazing light that's in this gathering right now? And I can just feel Brother Jesus and the angelic realm. Thank you for
Yes.
creating this forum, this space, Reverend Webb.
Absolutely, I can feel it. There was an old Jackson's song. Can you feel it? Can you feel it? Can you feel it? The
Yeah.
whole world is marching together now. Um, I have a show at 5 o'clock on Mondays called Spirit Speaks on the World Today. And what they often discuss is how the world has opened like a walnut to light. And the light that is on the earth right now, though it is blinding for some and bringing up such challenging energies, the light has already prevailed. And the guides that I channel on that live channel show often talk about how the world has opened to such light and that the light has already prevailed. And that light is a beacon of hope for all of us. So we all can feel this light more strongly, more clearly, and we can see its results more clearly than ever before. There was this old spiritual song, Life is filled with swift transition. Hold on to God's unchanging hand. And what we're finding is that's not just spiritual theory. Things can turn on a dime in a heartbeat. And we're experiencing that in our politics. But Spirit will say more about that tomorrow at 5. For now, Jane Bat has a comment as well. Her most recent comment in the comment section, let's bring that up. My mood goes up and down in reaction to political struggles. The ups feel good, but how can I grow more spiritually independent of the roller coaster?
Well, Jane, it all begins with your desire. That question um, expresses your desire to be at peace no matter what is going on in the world or not going on in the world. And I actually feel Brother Jesus with us right now. And he is saying, ask and you will receive. So the guidance for you in your own spiritual practice is to ask to see beyond the illusion of this world and into the truth that there is a perfect outworking happening for each soul who is here individually and collectively. And you can, as you open to the vision of Christ, be at peace and see beyond the illusion, the negative illusion on the earth. You deserve that. The other thing is to affirm what we've just said, that you deserve to maintain a state of peace, joy, and fulfillment. So whenever you are triggered negatively by what you see happening politically, they're saying, come to us and ask to have the negative feeling transformed and to be brought back into truth. So that's the answer I receive to your question, Jane, and that there's an emphasis on your deservingness of staying in a state of joy to affirm that. I am caused by God within me to know, feel, and believe that I deserve to stay in a state of peace and joy because I am holy, because I am the Christ.
Beautiful. And if you want a couple of scriptural references to support that, Reverend Jane, I would suggest A Course in Miracles, Lesson 34. I could see peace instead of this, which indicates that you have a choice of what you see and that there is a peace that God has placed within your heart, for it is your internal, eternal essence of light that cannot be affected by anything outside of you. And you can use that to see peace instead of the turmoil that you are seeing. You can find that place of peace within you. And I often marry 2 or 3 lessons in a course. So when I work with A Course in Miracles Lesson 34, I can see peace instead of this. I marry it to Lesson 292. A happy outcome to all things is assured. This is God's promise, and God's promises make no exceptions. So I sometimes catenate or marry those two. I could see peace instead of this, and when I know that there's a happy outcome, I can choose peace in this moment, regardless of what it looks like outside of me.
And I'm sure that this has been discussed in your community, Reverend Webb, but I just think we need to bring it up again as as anyone's own self-judgment or guilt or will to hurt, deny, or punish the self is transformed. It doesn't matter what happens in the world. That person is going to stay in the consciousness of heaven. So I think it's very important, that we bring that forth once again, because we're all
Absolutely.
creating what we experience.
Exactly. There's a wonderful exercise in A Course in Miracles Lesson 35, which helps us with this. That lesson is I may be feeling depressed. I may be feeling angry. I may be feeling put upon. I may be feeling scared, but I am very holy. So no matter what we're feeling, it takes us back to that place within us where we are very holy, and it helps to diminish the power that our momentary issue has over us. And it keeps bringing us back to no matter what you're going through, you are very holy, and it's going to be all right. Yes. So, any other thoughts, Reverend Daniel Newsom?
Do you know why I have this big smile on my face?
I'm sure you'll tell us.
Because I am being healed and transformed right now just by having this conversation with you and all the people who are putting their questions in. We are just creating this forum of healing, and I am feeling it, and I am so grateful. That's why this big smile is on my face. So
Yes,
thank you again for creating this forum.
absolutely. It's a pleasure, for it's a forum for healing for us and for the world. Rosemary Isabella has a question about her best friend who is uh, experiencing breast cancer. So let's let you read the question, or I'll read it because I have my glasses in my hand. And how can I best help one of my best friends since college understand that a recent breast cancer diagnosis requires self love for her healing? She was recently hospitalized with an infection.
The words I hear in my channel are be gentle. And I see an image of you holding her hand and offering to pray with her I'm hearing the word breath, and I'm feeling that there's something about your breathing with her, and if she's open to it, inviting her to breathe in light and to actually call for the transformation of her heart so that she does love herself more and more. But Spirit is emphasizing this cannot be done with a heavy hand. Let it be conversational, and let your friend, let her lead the discussion. What she brings up, what she says, is going to show you how open she is or is not. Spirit wants you to know that you are placed on her path for a reason, and that we can only plant seeds. And when the person or the soul is ready to nurture the seed, then they are going to transform, but we will continue to plant the seeds. So that's the answer I receive to your question.
Amen. Thank you. And when I heard the beginning of the answer, this is not to be done with a heavy hand, what popped into my head was it is to be done with light. You know, it's a play on words, but the opposite of a heavy hand.
Yeah.
And what popped into my head is we, as light bearers, our task is to simply bear light. And when we simply bear light, that is simply a function of being with the person, stepping into the room, following the guidance of that light in the moment, letting the light lead the situation, not what we think they should do, not what solving the problem, but just being the light. And quite often, 80 to 90% of the time, you just have to show up. And if you show up as light, Spirit will guide you as to what to do. Go
And
ahead.
yes, Isabella, your channel to the Holy Spirit, which I've witnessed firsthand, is very, very powerful. And the thing that I'm being guided to tell you is when you relate to this friend, do so from your divine self and not your human ego consciousness. Be very, take care with what if she says something or asks a question, ask that your divine self answer her through you. That is the way to really, if there is, I can't think of another phrase, but progress to be made here. That is the way to make the progress.
And that is a wonderful example of holding your holiness. And this gets back to the theme of tonight's show, which is you are very holy. And when you hold yourself in that space, when you honor the part of you that is God, that is very holy, when you hold the consciousness of your holiness, that Christed consciousness, that consciousness, that energy will lead you, guide you, speak to you, speak through you. And the more you hold your holiness, the more you and those around you will experience God's will of prosperity and happiness, despite any situation they're going through. So, holding your holiness is a key to prosperity. So, we're getting some other questions, and we're going to work with those questions as well as some surprises after the break. So we're going to go on break right now so we can ponder the next questions. And if you've not had a chance to put your question in the chat box, feel free to do so. And we'll get to it after the break here on the Miracle of Prosperity on the New Thought Media Network.
Thought Media Network is on the rise. We're looking to grow with you. Do you have technical media experience or perhaps a desire to learn? Are you willing to volunteer your precious time and attention? We share this message to benefit all. If you possess a computer with a camera and a microphone, we will share our knowledge with you. Behind the scenes or being the star, let us bless our one. Contact us at info@ntmedia.org.
And we're back here on the Miracle of Prosperity on the New Thought Media Network. And we're so glad you all are with us. We want to welcome some of our more recent commenters like Tim Fairs. Good to see you, Tim. We also want to welcome Brunhilde Marrero. Hi, I'm Brunhilde. And we want to say hello to Risa Bird. Good to see you, as well as everyone else, including Vivian, who's with us tonight, and all of the regulars. So we know that there are even more of you out there. So do not be shy about asking your questions. We have a question from Carlisa Coates. Reverend Daniel Neusom, would you be willing to look at that question as well?
Yes. So I love the help I have from Spirit. The first thing I hear is focus first on your deservingness. Let yourself ask in your time of meditation and spiritual practice if you are holding any judgments or grievances toward yourself. That energy and consciousness must be transformed through the miracle. The consciousness of infinite deservingness is an actual ray of light that you can breathe in, and you can use these words, I am now caused by the part of myself that is God to know, feel, and believe that I am infinitely deserving of heaven, abundance, prosperity, all of heaven's gifts. So we are suggesting that you take the time to breathe that in your spiritual practice until you actually feel your energy change. And in terms of helping others, we are suggesting that you facilitate a joining or a groups of people or two people, whoever wants to focus with you on that. Let there be a meditation prayer circle where that is the emphasis, releasing grievances toward the self and calling in the consciousness of infinite deservingness. So that's the answer I received.
Thank you, Reverend Newsom. And if you need a scriptural reference, I believe it's A Course in Miracles, Lesson 78. Grievances hide the light of God in me. You are a light of God, created for the purposes of joy. And when you have grievances against yourself, that light is eclipsed by the darkness of the grievance and cannot shine through and take the form of the prosperity that you desire. So as you release those grievances and allow the light to dissolve them, they will no longer block the light of God that you are. And that light of God that you are has no choice, for it is love. And so it has no choice but to attract, create, and allow its reflection in the form of love and in many forms of love. So that's what we can say about that. So, Reverend Newsom, you are a wonderful channel, and we are so grateful for you enlightening us tonight. Thank you so much. So, now that you have moved through your challenge, what are you working on these days?
Well, I'm back to work on my book that seems it's taking a million years, but it's going to be well worth the wait. My book is called God, I Let You In, The Experience of God Beyond Religion. And I continue to be very busy serving people in private soul healing and inner transformational sessions. And with my church, the Sacred Light Fellowship, after you come to the Tacoma Metaphysical Church at 11 a.m., feel free to come to the Sacred Light Fellowship at 3:30 p.m. Reverend Jim Webb was with us a couple of weeks ago.
Yes.
And I have a great class on Wednesday called Spiritual Psychic Development and the Path of Self-Transformation. And we've been fortunate to have Deb with us at times and Isabella. So all are welcome. Just email me or text me. I can give you more information about all of that stuff.
Yeah, and what's
That's
your
what I'm up
website,
to.
Reverend Newsom? What's your
Daniel,
website?
DanielNewsom.com. So, Reverend Webb, you are doing such fantastic work. I'm in awe of your energy and all of your output. Tell us what you are up to these days.
Oh, I'm just up to a couple little things. I've got this new show. It's called Spirit Speaks on the World Today. And each Monday, we are live at 5 p.m. And in that live session, I channel Spirit, the Masters of Planetary Healing and Transformation. And they give their point of view on what is happening in the world. They give their point of view on the political situation here in the States. They give their view on the situation in the Middle East, which at times may seem volatile. They give their perspective on the Earth's evolution. And it's a live session, so people ask questions about what's going on in the world, and Spirit answers. That's one of my newest ventures. Another of my newest ventures is my new book, which comes out on September 1st. That's Wanda Flower's birthday, September 1st. And my new book is called Forgive Your Way to Prosperity. And it will use the consciousness, energy, and practice of forgiveness in allowing us to have more prosperity. And then finally, I have some new classes coming up in September. The first class I have coming up is in direct response to all of the baggage that is coming up for healing on earth today. You see, just like Santa Claus brings that bag full of toys down the chimney, when we incarnated on the earth this time, we brought a bag full of karmic patternings, and we brought them to the earth for healing, for our soul's healing. And the reason that we brought such a big bag this time, which is why we sometimes seem to have so many challenges, is because that big bag is stuff that has been waiting for us to come to earth to heal, waiting for there to be enough light to heal it. So now there is enough light to heal it. So we decided to bring this big bag to earth in this lifetime. And in this channeled class on Monday nights, beginning on September 9th, Spirit will help you to see your past lives and your current life and the bag of tricks that you brought for healing. Spirit will help you to heal it so that you can then create a wonderful current life and construct in a very conscious way future lives that are full of joy and bliss and heaven. So that's what we're going to be talking about: healing soul trauma. Spirit speaks on past, between, and future lives. You'll get your own past life between life and future life readings, and spiritual guidance on how to navigate that for your own good. Now, in addition to that, I'm doing a second class that's a kind of a flip side of that. And that second class is called Deepening Your Connection with Spirit. And the reason that I am called to give this class is because we all want to feel the blessed assurance of knowing that we are never alone and that there is a force for good and a source of good that can guide us, keep us, and help us to avoid the potholes of life. So Spirit can see around the corners we can't. Wouldn't you like to have Spirit whispering in your ear, there's something around that corner to be avoided? Or whispering in your ear, turn right, there's some good for you if you make a right turn right here? Well, deepening our connection with Spirit will help us all to do that. It's an interactive class of exercises and experiences that help you deepen your channel or open your channel so that you can see, feel, sense, trust, and work with Spirit directly yourself. That starts on September 12th, and these classes are 2 for the price of 1. They're on Zoom, and you can have recordings as well because there's such powerful stuff in these classes. Many of the people who take the classes work with the recordings day after day after day because they have so much power. And even if you can't take the class real time, you can have access to the recordings. So all of that is on my website, www.revjimwebb.com, and my Facebook page, and my YouTube page, which has all of this stuff on it too. So like, share, and check out all this stuff because it can be of help to you. And that's what I'm up to these days. So finally, I want to thank you, Reverend Daniel Neusom. We want to welcome you back after your journey. We want to also thank our producer, Michael Mangus. He also produces my show at 5 o'clock live tomorrow. Thank you, Reverend Michael Mangus. And most importantly, we want to thank all of our guests, those old and new. Share this show with others who might benefit from it. You can find it on my Facebook page or on my YouTube page. Share this show, share this work so it can help others as well. And with that, I want to thank you all for being with us tonight on the Miracle of Prosperity on the New Thought Media Network.